Living abroad in Madrid was a dream. Wandering through vibrant streets adorned with the city's historic charm, meeting people from all over the world, and experiencing a different way of living life. But life threw a curveball. So why am I back in the States? Well, it's complicated.
Hi guys, I'm back. I know it's been like 3 years since I've posted a video here on YouTube, but I'm so excited to be back and share this story with you guys because I feel like it will help a lot of you guys who are contemplating moving abroad or who have moved abroad and are unsure about your next steps. This is my story, this is my perspective, so please be sure to take anything that resonates from this story and leave anything that doesn't. So let's go back to the beginning. As some of you may know, if you've seen my previous videos, I moved to Madrid from Miami in 2018. The reason for that was because I was tired of the life I was living in Miami. I wanted something new. I wanted a shift in perspective. I wanted to experience a new culture, a new life. I wanted to get myself out of the bubble. And that's exactly what I did. I was lucky enough to have my mom who was over there and who is from Madrid. So she was able to help me out in terms of getting my dual citizenship, which did make my transition that much easier. So all in all, I was so happy to be there. I was so happy to experience this new culture, this new life, and I was making the best out of my experience. However, when we talk about the job opportunities, that's where I faced some hardships. I had quit my 9-to-5 in Miami to go live in Madrid. I was lucky enough that they did allow me to stay on as a remote editor part-time. That did help ease my transition, and I was able to earn some income during those first months of getting myself adjusted into this new European life that I was living. But I also wasn't sure how long that would last, and as predicted, they ended up letting me go after about 6 months or so. I was forced to figure out other solutions, which were at that time to continue editing for my freelance clients in Miami that I had. I also picked up an online job for teaching English. Teaching English online or teaching English in a school is a common job that US expats moving to Europe take on, because it's doable, assuming that we could speak both languages pretty fluently, and there's an abundance of job opportunities for this. And so I worked both as a freelance editor for my clients in Miami and teaching English for the first 1.5 years of me being in Madrid. This kept me afloat, but obviously I needed to make other moves because I didn't want to just teach English for the rest of my life. I wanted to be able to either get a job at a company doing what I love, which is videography, media, communications, social media, or expand my business, which I had already some existing clients. So for this reason, I applied to job after job after job after job, trying to look for a corporate opportunity. And during this time, I really thought I was gonna have a chance at this because I thought, oh my God, I'm definitely like the perfect candidate because I have my dual citizenship. I don't even require a work visa. I'm fully bilingual, and I wasn't getting a single callback. So at that point I realized, all right, I have sent hundreds of applications out and I'm not getting a single callback. This is months and months of applying. There's a problem here. So I realized that the job market in Spain is really dire. There's not enough jobs for the demand that there is. I had so many international friends that were in Madrid studying for their masters who also faced the same hardships. They would look for jobs even having the network that the university provides, and were really having a hard time finding opportunities that made sense for them and that would be able to sustain a quality lifestyle, would be able to keep them afloat during their time in Madrid. And for that reason, a lot of these friends had to move back to their respective countries because they just weren't able to figure it out and weren't able to find an opportunity. And that's the issue I was facing. I was not able to find any opportunity for me. So I shifted gears and I'm like, okay, let's go full throttle on my business. So I decided to go door knocking from small business to small business and offering my services as a videographer, social media manager. And I was being met with a lot of resistance. People just didn't have the budget for it. And meanwhile, I was getting more clients from Miami just for editing services. So I was getting more referrals, even being in Madrid from Miami. And I was like, this is so interesting. I was just taking mental notes as things were happening, you know? I kept on teaching English. I kept on working for my freelance clients, trying to figure it out. Then 2020 hit. I was in Ghana. I went for 1 month to volunteer abroad. That experience was beautiful. If you want to check it out, I have a video. The last video I posted actually was of my experience there. But I was there during the month that COVID hit and changed the world. I actually almost got stuck in Ghana because my flights got canceled, and I had to tell the founder of the organization to just leave me at the airport, and I was gonna have to figure out a flight home because I didn't want to get stuck in Africa for X amount of time. On the last day of my trip, I spent the entire day at the airport going from airline to airline trying to figure out a flight back home. I ended up finding a one-way flight on Turkish Airlines to Madrid for $1,500. And just to put in perspective, I had paid $500 for the round trip initially. So $1,500 for a one-way hurt, but I was happy to do so if it meant getting home safely. So I ended up going back to Madrid. This period of my time living in Madrid was really eye-opening for me. Madrid and Spain in general were very strict with COVID regulations and guidelines, and we had very little freedoms that were granted to us during that time. We were not allowed to step out of our house for anything other than going to the grocery store or going to the pharmacy. I remember having to go to the grocery store dressed in basically a hazmat suit. So I was with a mask, double mask, gloves, I mean, you name it. I really went through it because I was fully alone at this period of time. My mom had moved away to Italy the year before, and I wasn't prepared for what being in isolation by myself in a small, tiny apartment would feel like. I didn't know when I was gonna be able to leave the apartment again, let alone see my family. My mom's in Italy, my dad, my brother, all my family and friends are in Miami, and I'm all the way in Madrid by myself. It was really hard. I had to do a lot of meditation, journaling. I tried to exercise every single day in the living room to keep my body active, to stay mentally clear. I remember I did lose my period for 2 months at that time, which has never happened to me before. And I'm convinced that it was due to the stress I was going through internally. I just wanted to get some fresh air. The weather was getting better at that time. It was nearing summer, and we weren't allowed to go outside for any other reason than go to the grocery store or to the pharmacy. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna take my jump rope out in front of my doorstep on my sidewalk and just jump rope for a couple minutes. That's all I need. So I did do that, and within 2 minutes of me jump roping, I was bombarded by 2 older ladies who were accusing me of killing them essentially by being outdoors, telling me if I didn't go back inside, they were going to call the police on me. And I just remember running back inside, crying, calling my family, like, what is going on? How is this real life that I can't even be outside to jump rope on this sidewalk? It was really a tough time for me, but of course I was just doing whatever I could to stay positive and to just know that we were gonna get out of it. We were gonna get out of whatever was going on, because at that point we really didn't know. Everyone across the world did not know what was going on. But I will say that talking to my friends and family back in Miami, I realized that they were all just living life as if nothing. I mean, restaurants were open, clubs were open, people were just out and about in Miami, and I was like, wow. For the first time, I am longing to be back in Miami, and I never want to long to be in Miami because it's not my favorite city, but obviously it is my home. But I just felt so jealous at that point of everyone living back in Miami, and I was like, I can't believe I'm stuck here in prison, because that's what it felt like. It felt like prison. Once a month or two went by, the government started granting us little by little more freedoms. One of the rules were that we could be outside, but we could only be outside during a certain period of time and divided by certain age groups. So there were like 3 or 4 major age groups that were divided. And so for example, ages 15 to 35 could go out from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. just to go walk outside. I was like, okay, that's weird, but sure. I mean, I ran to put my shoes on and get dressed, and I was so excited to just finally be outside and be able to go to the park and walk around. I was like, yes. I kid you not, When I opened my door that first time during that timeout that we got, I was baffled by the amount of people that were flooding the streets. I mean, it was swarms of people on the street, like your front row at Coachella being pushed against the railing. That's how packed it was. And I just thought to myself, how does this make any sense? If the point is for us to be isolated and not near each other, why would they only allow us for 1 hour a day all together with this giant group? It just didn't make sense to me. It felt super counterproductive and ridiculous, but I took it. I was like, give me my little bit of freedom. I will happily take it. And I went on my walk, and months started passing by, and little by little, we got a little bit more freedom and a little bit more freedom. So it was a very eye-opening experience. Flights were still all shut down. There were no means of travel outside. So in November of 2020 was when they opened the first flights back to Miami. And you better believe that I booked the first flight I found back to Miami in November. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I didn't know if I was gonna come back to Madrid, if I was gonna end up staying. I had an intention of coming back to Madrid, but I just didn't know, so I wanted to keep my options open. So when I moved back to Miami, I moved back in with my dad, seeing as I had nothing to my name in Miami anymore. I had sold everything, and so I was starting from zero. But 2 months after being in Miami, I had managed to quadruple my income from my business. And at that point, I realized there's no going back. I can't go back when I'm being energetically pulled to stay here. I obviously have my strong network of people in Miami that I've worked hard building throughout my entire life, and that was evident in the opportunities I was being given. So I had to make the decision that made the most sense for me. I was 28 at that point, not getting any younger, needed to really buckle down and figure out what I was gonna do so that I could get financial stability for myself and in turn be able to live the life that I want. I'm so happy that I did because it's what was meant to be. I've been back now for 3 years and I have fully established my LLC and my business has grown exponentially. I'm so happy to be able to do what I do and to be able to build something meaningful to me. So unfortunately, I couldn't build that life that I was hoping to build in Spain, but I'm still so grateful for my experience and my time there. I really grew as a person. I was able to experience such a different culture and see the world from such a different perspective. For any of you that are watching that haven't traveled abroad or haven't lived anywhere other than your hometown, I strongly urge you to leave the bubble. Your higher self will thank you for it. I still till this day consider Madrid one of my favorite cities of all time. It's so beautiful and magical, and it really has this zest for life that I love. It is so important for us to get out of what we are accustomed to get out of our comfort zones and experience new things so that we can learn more about ourselves and so that we can tap into our highest self. I hope to start growing a family within the next couple of years, and I'm definitely open to moving abroad with my family one day if the universe calls me to do so. I just think that being back in Miami is what was meant to be for me. Everyone's journey is different, so take whatever you want from my story, and if you have any questions for me, please feel free to comment below. I would love to answer any of your questions. I'm so excited to make some more content for you guys, so please comment below any ideas that you guys have, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching.